Welcome to a Dirt Road Roundtable Drive. It's RMSO. Whoop whoop. Got Derek and Jenny, and I'm Kelly. We're taking Derek back to the Bauman location for the first time after 4 years of coming out here on expeditions once or twice a year. I'm pretty confident, out of eliminating places and following the directions that Teddy Roosevelt laid out in some of his writings, I'm pretty confident this is the canyon that the Bauman incident happened in. I can't tell you the exact spot they were camping when his buddy got killed by what many today believe to be a Bigfoot by the descriptions back then. You know, nearly 150 years ago, they didn't have the creature identified as Bigfoot. It wasn't a term used at all back then. But the descriptions, because the creature stalked him for a couple of nights and harassed him for a couple of nights before it finally killed his friend, and it killed him on the day that they were getting the hell out, because it come right to the front of their lean-to the night before, and one of them shot at it, and I believe they probably wounded it. It ran off screaming and stuff, and then the next day Bauman went to gather up all the traps because they decided, you know, we're getting the hell out of here. His buddy stays back to clean up the traps, to clean up the camp, and he comes back later on with the traps, and he'd had his neck broke. Not only was his neck broke, there was bite marks on his neck too. So, and then he also saw the tracks of the creature, and he describes what are Bigfoot tracks, come right up behind his buddy before it took him out. And he even saw the evidence of after the creature had dispatched his buddy, the creature actually had jumped up and down on the body too.
Got stomped?
Yeah, I got stomped. And you know, they may have wounded it the night before, so it may have come back vicious. But before they come back here trapping, they were warned by local settlers and Native Americans that there was a wild man that lived back in here, and to avoid the place, and people had already claimed to have been attacked back here. On the other side of this canyon, I believe his name is John Stoner. He got attacked by what he described as a wild man back near the turn of the century. So there was many stories about that coming out of here, but this is the famous one where a person got killed, and it became famous because I guess Teddy Roosevelt and Bauman were really good buddies, and Teddy was so impressed by it that he wrote about it. And Teddy has a couple of encounters where he thinks he may have encountered Bigfoot. So he was already under the belief that there was probably already something like that out there. Oh, some people camping in a nice spot.
Yeah, they are.
I'm jealous.
Real nice spot.
Your camp spot's better than ours. Now we're in the Bitterroot forests, and we're on the Idaho Montana border. We're on the Montana side, and a lot of people are unsure which side of the border it happened on, but the directions that I've followed and everything, and coming back here, I believe it happened on the Montana side, because this canyon that traverses from Idaho to Montana, the beaver activity and habitat is on the Montana side. Once you get to the Idaho side, no more beaver. So, and they were here in this canyon because it had literally been untouched with beaver trapping. You know, by the time they come up here, this area of Montana and Idaho had been trapped pretty heavily, so they were looking for, you know, virgin beaver ground, and that got them to come in here and trap in this remote canyon to brave the wild, man.
Nothing like some good old virgin beaver trapping.
Beaver's a pretty big thing around here. As a matter of fact, there's a town here that their town symbol is a beaver slide. And I didn't know what a beaver slide even was until we went. Is it? It's the town of Wisdom that their town symbol's the beaver slide.
Yeah,
that's right.
All their t-shirts.
Yeah.
Hoodies. It makes haystacks.
Yeah. I'd seen those beaver slides for years and didn't know the name of them or even what they were used for.
They make haystacks. Before you could bale hay, they had to put it into haystacks so that it stayed good.
It's thick forest.
I thought this area was gonna be easy to find. You know, I feel like I'm a Bigfoot historian. I'd love the history of Bigfoot. I like to visit sightings, whether they happened yesterday, last week, or 100 years ago. I like to go see the places people claim Bigfoot, and to me, that's one of the most famous Bigfoot sightings without film or photo. So I had to see the area, and I thought it'd be easy to find because several television documentaries were made. You know, our president wrote about it and stuff, and it took me 4 years to find it. And it kept on throwing me off by, you know, about 50 miles, maybe more, because I was one of the rivers I was looking for no longer exists, and it was throwing me off. And once I figured that out, then it was easy to find. Yeah, a lot of things can change in 150 years.
Nice elevated view. It's a nice campsite. Already.
Yeah, someone's already got a bunch of wood stacked up for the next person.
Yeah, that's a real pretty. I'm sorry, I want a picture.
Yeah, that's fun. When I'm in a Bigfoot sighting location, I like to go down to the creeks and rivers and stuff, and my favorite places to go is where the beaver are making ponds and dams and everything, because there's a lot of sighting reports that I have read over the years, and some of them reported to me where the people actually had Bigfoot sightings near a beaver pond or a beaver dam area. You know, like Clint Richens up on Chalk Creek, they come right up on a beaver pond. The Bloody Bucket area, both the Bigfoot sightings back in there were down by the beaver pond area. Then Casey's, his Bigfoot sighting was down in the Willows. I don't know if there's beaver activity in the area where that he was at, but it is beaver habitat. Just saying, I don't know if there's beaver activity, if they've been hunted out in that part of Morgan. Yeah, we haven't been able to get back in there to check it out because it's on private property down on Hardscrabble Creek. And this Bauman location was definitely in a beaver used area.
Go say, little squirrel, don't do it.
They like to wait till the last second and jet out.
Yeah, he stopped last second and went back, or he was a squished little man.
I'm pretty good at missing them when they run across the road. The only ones I've ever hit are the ones that come out in the middle of the road and don't know what to do, and they start dashing back and forth in front of your car.
Natural version of Frogger.
Uh-huh. I'll wager that this is not the route they took in and out of the canyon we're going to. I'll bet you they come in from down there.
Oh yeah. Look at that window.
It's thick, tons of deadfall. Just thick.
There's some old abandoned homesteader cabins.
There is. It's a pretty little valley. Little plateau all the way across it. And it's its own private little water creeks running all through it. You can see everywhere they go.
So in my opinion, these willow locations right now are prime Bigfoot habitat for May and June. There's a lot of May and June Bigfoot sightings down in the willows.
Kelly's gonna go down there and push him out for us.
That's right. Should have borrowed those people's chocolate lab. Have
Yeah.
him run through the willows for us.
That I did it.
Or send your Pyrenees pair of dogs through. That'd scare anything out.
Yeah. And they would. If you're down there, they're going to be chasing you.
Wow, I can't believe how thick the willows are
Yeah,
through
thick,
there.
thick. And they're kind of deceiving too, because you wouldn't think, but they're 15 to 20 feet tall.
Yeah. Yeah, a giant moose just disappears in them. And a big bull moose, I really don't think a Bigfoot stands much taller than a big bull moose, and they have no problem hiding in the willows. See, that looks like a great place to camp if you wanted to be right near the Bauman location.
Usually something for a hunter too, because they actually had a line for hanging shit up between two trees.
Dry out your bath towels.
If that's what you want to do.
Last time Jenny and I camped in this area, we didn't get much sleep at night because something roared up on the mountain when we were setting up camp and scared away all the elk. And then that happened, and we just, basically thought, I wonder, I don't know what made the roar, whether it was a bear or what. But later that night, after we went to bed, something started pacing back and forth across the river from us, and
That's a nice camping
and sniffing
spot.
and
Right down in here. Nice big open area.
And it kept it up all night, so we didn't sleep very well. We kept on getting up, stalking the fire and spotlighting across the river trying to find it. And if any of you guys have read the Bauman story, I'll leave a link in the description of this video to the Bauman story, or a blog that leads you to that story. But one of the nights that they had the sighting before all the trouble went down, it was stomping around across the river from where they were camping. So that kind of like brought back that section of the story to me, although we did not see what was pacing back and forth across the river and kept waking us up, or keeping us awake. I'd fall asleep and Jenny would wake me up and she's like, it's pacing back and forth on the opposite side of the river again. Well, of course, I'd rather you wake me up. I don't want a bear coming through the tent.
It wasn't just on the other side of the river. I heard it come through across the river and into the campsite. And
Oh, you did? You heard it wade through the river?
Yes, I woke you up and I told you that it had crossed the river. It came right into the campsite, and our plastic bags were rattling that were tied to our food table.
Yeah, we kept a fire stocked all night. We kept getting up, going out, and keeping that fire pretty big.
Oh, not only, it's a grizzly area.
That's right.
Grizzly bears.
And a ton of black bear here too. Yeah, and in my opinion, if something like that's happening, I'd prefer it to be a Bigfoot over what it potentially probably is. I'd rather have a Bigfoot messing around in my camp than a black bear or a grizzly bear. So I missed that part because I was in and out of a sleepy fog, and I was just as worried as you about what was going on and going out and stalking up the fire. I forgot that you said that it waded across the river. When it waded across the river, could you Did it sound like something big moving through the water?
I could hear it.
I will leave that expedition where all this happened. We got an expedition video of a lot of what was going on. That thing that roared up on the mountainside is like within the first minute or two. I believe you can hear it in the video. It does not do justice what we heard with our own ears, but it was enough that it scared away the herd of elk that was across the river from us. We started a camera because those elk were bugling and it just sounded so cool. So I started up a camera hoping to catch them bugling, and instead of catching them bugling, that thing roared up the mountain from them and scared them all away. And then we had a sleepless night from then on.
Didn't I make an audio recording of that roar and put it on our audio clips?
I believe that was a roar that Brody captured back in Sasquatch Canyon. But I don't know. You have like a dozen audios on, and I really need to make more of those because there's all sorts of audio clips. I should take them all. Well, there's that one, and then there's also one that we caught in Sasquatch Canyon on camera that you could put on the website with that collection.
And maybe that's what it is. In fact, the one audio that we got on that freaking game cam that you and I debate about, that was absolutely primate to me.
Yes.
And that needs to go on our audio clips.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite audio footages.
It's kind of a grunting sound.
I really like the baby crying.
Yeah, that one's definitely on our website.
And it's not just a baby crying. I mean, we're talking, 5-7 miles or some shit back some canyon. There's no babies crying clear back there where we were. Just there's not.
Very odd.
Yeah, it was very odd audio. And we're not the only ones that have captured something like that in a Bigfoot hotspot.
I've heard a baby bear cry, and that was not a baby bear crying.
No, baby bears don't sound anything like...
Baby bears crying sound more like, wah. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
No, they don't. They sound like
that one was
sound.
That one was crying off the deck of the cabin that one night when we got there.
Oh yeah, you know what a baby bear sounds just like a baby bear, not a human baby.
Yeah, they're definitely different. This sounded like a human baby.
Yeah, it sounded more human than anything crying. Yeah, Brody got that with the parabolic. That was cool. I heard it with my own ears when he got the parabolic on and turned towards it. That's kind of one of the creepiest vocalizations I've heard out Bigfooting, is that crying, because it was so human-like. Right in the middle of the day, too.
Forest is dark.
We still haven't got to the stretch that I believe the Bauman incident. I'll let you guys know when we get into that stretch. But I believe we're pretty close to the way he would have had to come in and out of here.
Do they have pack horses?
Yes. I believe they actually had pack ponies.
Ponies? What happened to the ponies?
Nothing. They didn't get killed or whatever. And their ponies were targets. They had their ponies hobbled up in a location, and they didn't have them hobbled up at camp, but in a place where the ponies had everything they needed. Because yeah, I remember, as the story goes, he had to go unhobble the ponies and stuff, and I just figured, you know, he would get to their ponies and if it killed his friend, it may have killed all of them. But yeah, it left the ponies alone.
Let me know if you get cold, Jan. I kind of want the windows down, just so I can hear.
Oh yeah, I have a coat.
I slowed this down as well, just because this is too thick. I mean, you're not going to be able to see anything if you're going that fast. It's all a blur. So
now, a lot of people say it was killed by a bear, it was killed by a mountain lion, or maybe wolves got his friend. And because the hobbled horses or ponies are in an easy situation for a predator to take down, you know, I feel if there was a mountain lion, a grizzly, black bear, whatever, wolf in the area, wanting food, it would have gone for the easy meal of their hobbled animals.
Well, over and above that,
so that helps
none of
rule
them leave the size and human type footprints. I mean, a bear's as close as it's going to get, and guarantee you, you're not going to confuse a trapper over what a bear looks like.
Yes, so a guy that's a professional trapper.
Professional trapper, that guy knows exactly what the hell he's looking at.
Yeah, he's going to know the difference between a bear bite and a bite that he's never seen before.
Yep.
Big old elk poops. That's what it looked like. A whole bunch of them on the road. God, it is thick.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even see. Well, it depends on which direction you look, but you know, you're hardly seeing anything in either direction.
Both sides look just as thick to me. Especially your side.
Yeah, it's thick.
Yeah, of course, when Bauman come back here, there wasn't this nice, dinky little road. So it's no wonder that this little valley that they come into had not been trapped. It's not easily accessible if they're having to come through this thick stuff just to get to the untrapped area.
Yeah, they didn't exactly have snowmobiles either. Just saying.
Yeah, people were pretty hardy.
You had to be.
You had to be. Or you didn't go anywhere or do anything to live.
Oh, that was a deep hole.
Yeah, and the stuff you're trapping, you know, you get to it fresh enough, you get to eat what you trapped, and so it's just You know, you always wonder what's for dinner tonight. You know, you don't plan a grocery list. It's just like whatever's in your trap is dinner for that night. And what's crazy is people are still like that. You watch that show Mountain Men, and you know, Tom Orr and Marty and who else? I don't know. Oh, Eustace. You know, stuff they trap and shoot. They eat some of the stuff that I didn't think people eat anymore. They eat beaver, and oh, I saw Eustace and his buddy eating in Preston before he passed away, eating possum. Alaska: The Last Frontier. Which one of them? Which one of them likes the squirrel? Ivan. Yeah, she don't like squirrels, so when he's out doing whatever they do, like he'll sometimes shoot and eat squirrels. But yeah, I've seen Marty. Marty eats everything he traps. He'll eat lynx. Eats the pine marten. Yeah. That Yukon Men show. That one gal, she was pregnant and she was craving beaver tail.
Yeah. Was it fatty?
The sledding girl, the dog sled. I wish I could remember her name. She's one of my favorite characters or people on that show.
Courtney.
Yeah. Yeah, she's awesome. But yeah, when she was pregnant on the show with her last child, she was sending them out to get her beaver tail. I've had moose, elk, deer. I don't think I've ever had like a bighorn sheep or the normal game animals people hunt. I've never tried bear. I was only 5 years old when I had moose. My great grandpa had harvested a moose and sent some of the meat to us, and I just remember it being very tough. I don't remember it being like a yucky flavor. I remembered that, you know, the flavor didn't bother me. It just was, I had to chew the crap out of it. I think he probably sent us probably a tougher cut of meat. And
Or that was cooked.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just probably, you know, my mom probably was like, what do I do with this? Didn't know how to prepare the certain cut of moose we got, but yeah, it was tough.
Some of my family members love moose more than they like anything else.
I believe in Utah you only get to draw out for moose once in your life. I know when my great grandpa got his moose, it was in Star Valley, Wyoming, and at that point in time you were allowed to draw out for a moose every 5 years, I believe it was.
Yeah, the moose are getting very scarce because the wolf populations are growing out of control.
Yeah, moose are like one of their favorite prey items. The moose have a hard time when the ticks get bad, because moose don't groom each other, from what I understand.
Yeah, and my looking really, really weak.
Yeah, they need to find a really nice magpie like the one that we saw grooming that deer, or that big old buck in Jarbidge on game camera. That was pretty cool. He jumped on the back of that buck and took off like 3 ticks for him. Then after he was done, one of the spots that he yanked a tick off of him, the deer scratched itself on that part where it tore it off, and the deer, like, you could totally tell it was enjoying it because it like stuck its tongue out. And if I can find it, I'll put it at the end of this video.
It's snow, people. Just letting you know.
Yep.
And yes, it's June 1st. Snowing on your birthday, brother.
Yep, thanks. Happy birthday. At the Bauman Bigfoot spot on the birthday.
We take these dirt roads a little bit quicker than I.
Oh, I'd be driving probably the same speed as you. You've been doing under 20. That's appropriate for this tiny road. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely in the stretch where this had to have happened.
Right here.
This is where they would have.
No, it's absolutely beaver territory.
Yeah, this is beaver stuff. Off to your guys' left is all the willows, the creeks, the beaver dams, the beaver lodges.
So they were up.
If there was somewhere along here. And when I say along here, it's probably a 5-mile stretch. It could have happened anywhere along here.
And we don't know where the little camp was.
Now, I don't think anybody does.
But it was, nobody will. It's
I believe that...
lost in history.
I believe that and law enforcement investigators come up in here or whatever to help retrieve the body. So there may be a record of it somewhere. I don't know. I narrowed it down to about 5 miles, so there you go.
I don't even think it's 5 miles. I think it's 1.
You see that? Probably picked something up crossing the road up here. I think it was a bird though. It wasn't very big. It's kind of a grayish color.
Like a bird walked across the road?
Yeah, I just caught a glimpse of it as it was going back into the trees on the right, from left to right, and it was 300 yards in front of us, 200 yards in front of us. I would think it was a bird though. It didn't seem like it was that big, not what I saw.
We'll get a stretch here where you can totally see. I doubt the camera can see through this thicket of trees into the creeks and willows over there. But the road will actually move closer to some of that here soon. Yeah, right here.
Yeah, we're turning right into it.
Actually, we're crossing the creek that's creating all of this. So this is the creek that they were trapping alongside.
Yep, right here. All the beaver area right there.
Now the stretch that it happened on is on our right side. It's just gorgeous too. See the Bauman deal totally happened around the willow areas. Well, some people give me a hard time, you know, saying, you know, that happened 100 years ago. Why are you going back to old sightings? Well, not only did this happen over 100 years ago, there is sightings up near this area that are only, you know, 5-10 years old. Matter of fact, we've been camping at a location just a few miles from a sighting. If you guys have ever heard of Sula, Montana, we're camping along the East Bitterroot River.
East Fork of the Bitterroot.
Yeah, and we're not very far from a sighting that happened, I believe, in 1994 right there.
Interested in the year, we're interested in the area and the habitat and why they were there in the first place. That isn't going to change if it hasn't been populated.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't know right off the top of my head the exact year of the Bauman deal, but I know it's close to 150 years ago. So let's say like around 1884, and then in 1994. You know, you get another Bigfoot sighting and a bunch of them in between. I mean, if Bigfoot sightings have been happening for over 100 years in this spot, in 2018, why
is it changed now when you still don't have the people living here or encroaching too much on there? There's no reason.
Yeah, and we're just going off of reports that people actually care to report to someone that's going to record it, that the public has access to that. And that's something that we're also involved in. We like to get reports out there to the public on our blog site and our YouTube, so you know, people have access to that history of Bigfoot sightings, and we like to go show off the locations for you all. So if you guys have a Bigfoot sighting, make sure you send it to us. We'll put it on our blog, and you can remain anonymous if you choose. And if we ever make it to the sighting location, we'll take pictures and do a video of it. So we're big time into the history, and we like to put Bigfoot sighting reports out there so the public has access to these reports. When someone has a Bigfoot sighting and they go public with it, we feel like it belongs to everybody, you know. So you all can follow the history, currents, or over 100 years old of Bigfoot activity. Wow. It is just...
Yeah, this is a good little area.
This looks like a trapper's paradise even today.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
And look, I mean, that looks like a good clearing right through there if you wanted to hobble up some horses or ponies.
I'd have probably moved up more up into here just because of the elevation, unless, you know.
And some of the smaller creeks, they have access to drink without falling in a bigger river. Wow, there's snow at the base of a bunch of these trees.
Well, it was just snowing on us too, so.
I'd like to give a shout out to the last guy that gave us a Bigfoot sighting. Dryden, Idaho, Bigfoot sighting, and he goes by the name of Screamer on YouTube. So, keeping you anonymous, but he sent us a Bigfoot sighting that we may in fact go visit on this trip because we're close enough to it. Yeah, that's his screen name, and one of our videos down in the comments of the video, he gave us his full report. Now the cool thing about Dryden, Idaho is we got this Dryden, Idaho Bigfoot sighting report the same week that the ranchers shot that wolf hybrid that they're trying to identify with DNA. He shot it out messing with his livestock, and then had the Fish and Game come in and collect the body, and the Fish and Game took some photos of it and said this is not a full wolf. It had dog characteristic and wolf characteristic, so it's a hybrid. And the scary thing about a hybrid is they say that these wolf dog mixes are more of a threat to people than a full-bred wolf, because the dog side of their DNA doesn't have that innate fear or want to avoid people. So the ones with the dog breed will come in contact with people a lot more. And I'm sure that's totally a debatable point of view, but that's what I've heard.
Now you're getting close to some. You wanted to get real up and close with some Beaver area? I think
yeah, this is just awesome right here.
Yep. I mean, it's too bad. I mean, unless you want to get up to your frickin' waist and gook.
You need waders.
Yeah, you're not going back down in there.
What a hard way to make a living. And most of the trapping's done in the winter months.
Just tell, I mean, everything's just backed up. That whole thing is, it's a green lake.
Yep.
We've been skirting the Idaho border on the Montana side the whole time, by the way.
This little berm's the only thing keeping us from not being underwater. Right along the edge.
Yeah, that's a whole marsh ready to spill out onto the road.
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, like I said, that's more of a lake, and you just don't know it.
I like to be in places that at the right times to increase our odds of a Bigfoot sighting. And May and June, in my opinion, where we're at now, is the best place in the Rockies to be looking for Bigfoot. Now, when we start getting into the fall and the beginning of winter, I think the higher elevations. But right down in the creek bottoms around the beaver ponds and stuff is where we want to be.
I don't know how many people have ever been fishing in beaver ponds, but you can practically scoop them out with your hands if you're patient.
And
the fish.
And a lot of fish like to spawn in this type of environment. And when I was a kid, I caught spawning fish with my hands because they come into shallower water and they're not as mobile. And I was scooping fish and throwing them up onto the bank as a kid.
I actually pulled one out of a river. Is where I actually pulled one out with my hands.
Now, if little kids' hands, little kids able to catch spawning fish, Just think of a Bigfoot with those giant freaking 15-inch long mitts. Yeah, I have no idea what time of the year that trout spawn. But the fish that I was catching that was spawning, it seemed to me that it was in the late spring. They were carp, by the way. I was scooping them out of the slough where we lived when I was a little kid when they were spawning in shallow water. But I know everybody's like, ooh, nasty carp. You know, I don't think a Bigfoot would think a carp was nasty.
Yeah, there's people all over the world that just think carp is just fine.
In the Rocky Mountains, they're usually pretty rocky where you can actually get some traction somewhere. That was muddy. Private road, next 2 miles.
Yeah, just we can use the road, just not to get off of it and hike around, I guess. Derek and Jenny were bringing up the fact that the location we were just in, there's 5 different canyons that meet up right there. And you know, if you were a trapper and you wanted to be able to trap all 5 canyons, you could set up a camp right back where we were at and have access to all 5 from right there. So your truck's telling on me.
It is.
Oh, there's an old cabin right there.
That's it?
Yeah, is it an owl? It's a large bird of prey.
Oh my gosh.
No,
That was huge.
it's like a crane or a
Yeah, it
goose
looked
or
like
something.
some type of crane is what it looked like. But that is massive. That was a massive bird.
Wow.
I bet you that had 6-7 foot wingspan.
Yeah,
Look at the
I'm thinking
cabin
like
to your
7
right.
feet. Oh wow, an old abandoned cabin. Can we back up and turn this camera on it for the viewers?
I bet you we got that bird. Like,
I think so too.
I can't imagine anyone having a cabin here for anything other than trapping. So,
That's probably an old trapper's cabin.
it's a great location. You got the elevation in the area?
take some pictures with my handheld camera. Yeah, I just don't think someone was raising a garden right here. There's no evidence of farming here. That's kind of funny. You guys pointed out that
TP type structures.
You guys just pointed out that this would be a great place to get to 5 different canyons if you were a trapper, and lo and behold,
Right there.
There's probably a trapper's
See in the
cabin.
background, the teepee style. They look man-made, obviously.
I see
especially
like
with this.
I see
You
like
see
an
the
X-like
cross, the X
structure back
stripes.
there.
Yeah.
I'll get a picture of it. Some people think they know what some of these structures mean, and I've heard a lot of people say that these X structures are like saying, don't come here. Not welcome.
Wish we got a better bird. Better eye visual on that bird. So I think it was a type of crane or something.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what it really looked like.
Given the directions 4 years looking around and just eliminating spot after spot after spot, I just can't imagine the Bauman deal happening anywhere than we're right now. I go back over the maps and the directions that Teddy left, and this has got to be it.
Worst case scenario, this is a perfect representation of where they were and what they were doing. You know what I mean?
I'm 99% confident that this is the area.
There's some elk. If you're backed up, I can get him with the camera. Right. Oh no. What is that?
Clear back there by that tree line. Jenny usually spots game first, so I have a hunch.
Yeah, I didn't even second guess. I was on the brakes so damn fast.
Sorry.
I have a hunch if we find Bigfoot, Jenny will probably spot it first.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we all get to see it. How's that?
Like you got to see that mountain lion?
Yep, just like that.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, Jen.
She's seen him before.
Back to some snow. Almost hell.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say it's more hell.
Yeah.
Little stinging beads.
This place is so wild. Even today. I'm sure about the only thing that's changed over the last 150 years is this dinky little road.
Yeah.
With some bridges that go over the worst parts of the creeks. Whoa, it's slick, isn't it?
Well, we've been having a lot of water, so been on worse, that's for sure.
We're leaving what I believe was the spot where Bauman had his deal.
Yeah,
the only reason I think we're leaving is because there's no longer the beaver activity, obviously. So, and we're getting closer to the Idaho border. That's why I believe it happened in Montana. On the Idaho side of this canyon is there's not the creeks and willows and the beaver activity. We're really close to the Continental Divide. So the water, the rain that's falling right now, it flows down into rivers and everything that'll take the water down to the Gulf of Mexico. And then on the other side, just a little ways up here, the rain that falls eventually makes its way down to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, there's still some more trapping areas off to our left, but obviously because we're still relatively close. But
oh, you see some beaver activity over there?
Definitely, yeah.
It's,
willow strong,
starting to calm down the closer we get to the border.
For sure. But we're still following the edges of one of those canyons, so down through the center of it. And
yeah, so we're still in a trapping area.
Anywhere you get water flowing, you're getting beavers playing with it. Especially if there's not a lot of traffic. You gotta have growth with the animals.
Makes me wonder if the Bigfoot are looking for geese and duck eggs is why they're down in the willows this time of year. Or even the the babies, the ducklings and the goslings.
They They've sure been doing a lot of work cleaning that up around here.
Yeah, they've had so many problems with fires in the last 5-6 years. They're trying to get ahead of it by cleaning up the deadfall. They make these deadfall piles, and then they come back on snowmobiles in the winter and burn them when they're not at risk of burning the mountain down. I'm sure they've been turning this road into a fire break, so really cleaning it up on both sides. We've been here many different years where there have been fires, and we don't cancel our plans because there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings on the edges of forest fires. So, and we're not out looking for perfect camping conditions when we go to Bigfoot. We're looking for conditions that might provoke a Bigfoot sighting. So I know that one year with the 100,000 acre fire, it was not very much fun that week that we spent out here. As far as breathing, my throat was just raw and scratchy, and my sinuses were just, you know, breathing wildfire smoke for a week. But we have some months like that back at home where the valley's filled with the smoke from fires. Every year I hope it's a non-fire year.
Definitely been seriously cleared out. Cabin right there.
Yeah, Jenny and I checked that one out a couple of years ago. 2014.
It's posted now.
Wow, it's just a slippery, snotty mess back in there.
Oh, absolutely.
There's Bauman Lake.
it's no bull crap. Difference between 25 and 48. 25 would have gone through the middle of that shit. I don't care to get stuck up here. That'll suck to have to get us out.
Jenny, Mike, and Shannon and I, we got trapped into a place. A tree fell across the road, and we had to hack the crap out of the tree to get it out of the way. And then you start thinking, you know, it could have been so much worse. At least this is something that we could hack through. We got trapped in the redwoods, by a redwood that come across the road, 10 feet thick. We showed up just right at the end of them cleaning that up. Yes, that definitely was something that we would not be able to hatch it through.
I'm not too worried. Between the three of us, we'll come up with a game plan of whatever mess we get ourselves into.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we saw a really nice fox when we was back in there, where the tree trapped us in.
He offer you up some tea or something?
No, we got some good photos of him.
Like foxes.
He wasn't afraid of us.
No, he ran right towards us.
Ran right
by
towards us, right by us. It
Kept on going.
It shows how remote an area is when animals like that aren't even wary of you. You just ran past us like, you know, we were nobody. Had no concern about us.
Are we gonna have to flip a Huey at some point or another?
Yeah, we'll get up to.
We're getting close to we're getting really close to the top, and we'll start going down on the other side.
What goes down on the other side?
Kind of out of the Bauman area. With 99% certainty, I think that's where it all happened, where we drove through. I hope you guys enjoyed a roundtable drive through a Bigfoot sighting hot spot.
Famous hot spot.
We keep on watching. We're gonna keep on squatching.